Does generative AI demand that companies create an entirely new data strategy to enable adoption and get the competitive advantages of advanced AI?
Great question. And the short answer is no. What it requires is really more of an acceleration of that, the data strategy that many of our customers have already put in place, primarily making sure that they have access to all of their data, and that they're looking at not only their own data, but thinking about external data potentially that could come into play and augment what they've got internally to expand the training data that they've got available to their AI models. So it's really about accelerating the data strategies that they've already got in place.
Fantastic. Sunny, let's talk about Gen AI and LLMs being really hot topics today. What do you think the companies should consider when they're starting to invest in these areas?
Yeah, I mean, the overall narrative is going to be productivity. That's the main use case that, we're trying to go after. All the customers that we're trying to talk to are really going after the productivity narrative. And so in our landscape, we're going after the developer productivity. We're trying to make sure that the employee productivity is high. Our sales productivity, or even like you look at customer service or support organizations, we're all trying to go after how we can improve the experience and really drive an AI adoption to drive the productivity use case. And so that's kind of what we're exploring internally, and all the peers that I'm talking to in the industry who have a similar role like myself are all kind of investing in those type of use cases.
Can I just add, the exciting part about Gen AI is that it's really putting more information in the hands of, everybody, not just business and business analysts, not just developers or data scientists. And so, as Sunny says, it's really about increasing the productivity of everybody. Customer service reps can potentially have tools that give, they can do inquiries in natural language and get the information they need about the customer that they're on the phone with in real time. Sales teams, marketing teams can use those kind of Gen AI assistants to create content. So there are massive amounts of opportunities just within that, within that employee productivity use case.
Yeah, just to kind of add a little bit more color to that, our vision would be that, what we're trying to work towards is that, you join a company, let's say on a Monday, and there would be an AI assistant that would be provisioned to you. And that AI assistant actually works for you. And based on the persona, whether you're in sales, marketing, finance, whatever the functional area you belong to in engineering, you would have an AI assistant that actually kind of works for you and gets you onboarded with all the, productivity use cases that get you onboarded in the first 30, 60, 90 days. But it doesn't end over there, right? You train the agent, you train the assistant to actually evolve so that a year from now, when you're hiring your next set of people that are part of your organization, well, they're kind of like leveraging this AI assistant, and they would have an AI assistant working for them. So I think it's going to be just an amazing use case that we want to explore for trying to drive that productivity use case.
That's an exciting vision. Thank you so much to both of you. All right. So while the impact of technology is not always about dollars and cents, it is important to raise the expected monetary returns. You note in the report that one effect of advanced AI will be to create new markets and incentives for data monetization. What will it look like for the teams? And I would love, Jennifer, to get your perspective first.
Sure. Just as I mentioned earlier, companies are accelerating that data strategy to break down their own data silos internally, but I mentioned that they're looking to expand their sources. As one CDO once said to me, with our own data, we can only see internally, but we need to see, industry trends, regional benchmarks. We need to see what, our broader business context. So what we're going to start seeing, and we've already started seeing, is more and more companies expanding their acquisition of external data, third-party data. And we've got traditional data sources, data providers who are selling data, But increasingly, we're starting to see, companies, regular companies who recognize that they've got data that would be of use for maybe their suppliers, their partners, their broader ecosystem, or completely, independent, new revenue streams for their data. And so that's this new market that will accelerate as companies are looking to expand their sources and diversify their data sources for training their AI models. We talked a lot about big data for a long time. And actually, relatively recently, Gartner coined the term wide data. I actually like to think of it as diverse data. It's data diversity. And the more diverse your data is, the more you're likely to, or able to mitigate, capturing internal bias, or train data sets so that they're less likely to hallucinate, or any of the negative things that we hear about happening with AI models.
I really like the diverse data term. Thank you. So sticking with the topic of financial returns, Snowflake has always taken the approach that the consumption-based pricing model is far superior to subscription-based pricing. Will Gen AI and LLMs paint an even clearer picture that consumption is the way of the future? Jennifer, love your input on this.
Sure. Well, first of all, we like the idea of, pay for what you're using. And so when you're testing a new model and you want to know whether or not it'll create lift in your, or you're testing new data set and you want to know whether or not it will create lift in your model, whether it will have an impact on the outcomes that you're looking to achieve, you don't want to be buying a big subscription to something. You want to be able to test it. You want to be able to use it in a small quantity, maybe for a short period of time. And so, that's the advantage of usage-based pricing. In that case, you're not committing to a year subscription, or you're not committing to buying a license to something in perpetuity. You're able to pay as you go, and it lowers the barrier to accessing and acquiring these diverse data sets that we talked about. So it really is empowering people to go out, or companies to go out and acquire more data. And so we're, at Snowflake, we've obviously embraced that usage-based pricing for our own platform, but we also facilitate that within the marketplace by allowing the data providers to sell through a Snowflake marketplace to adopt usage-based pricing themselves.
Thank you. Sonny, back to you. Before we go any further, we need to address how an enterprise will achieve success with LLMs. And that starts with the team. How should enterprises be thinking about building out their teams for this?
Yeah, great question. Look, I mean, the way we're thinking about it is that there are two aspects of it. Obviously, because we have a product that is enabling AI for all our customer base. So there is an aspect of product development and engineering piece of it that resides in our engineering organization and in our product organization. But for the internal use cases, for internal operations, my team is taking the lead on that and partnering with the product team and engineering team to ensure that we're very thoughtful about how we want to invest in it. What is a sequence of investments we want to make it? We just don't want to, open the floodgates. So it starts with, making sure we have a right security and compliance posture. And that's the beautiful thing about Snowflake, because we are providing a lot of that, capability for customers so that they don't have to stitch all that. We provide a backbone and an infrastructure that comes with the platform. So it's more of a managed service platform rather than you have to do everything on your own. And then from an organization perspective, I think we want to provide LLM as a service to every single organization in the company that's wants to innovate and take advantage of it. We want to centralize some things, but we also want to keep it decentralized, certain things, so that people can take advantage of it. So like things like data ingestion, warehouse management, things that are really table stakes on getting the data in our platform. All that stuff should be centralized, but the innovation and the drive of user experience that, might be very functional in nature. We want to make sure that we give the capabilities as a service to finance, sales, marketing, all the different organizations, so that they can innovate and take advantage of that. So it's somewhat centralized, certain things, and some certain things are decentralized.
And that's what we're seeing across a lot of our customers is this, this hybrid nature of you've got the distributed capabilities, you've got the ability to have the teams that have the maturity to do it, using the models and creating their own tool, working to develop their own tools. But you've got, a coordination mechanism that's allowing you to have economies of scale around some of the things like Sunny mentioned, the ingestion and in particular, defining some of the governance rules that are going to be put in place around all of this. So that hybrid model is something that we're seeing among our customers. We're seeing people put in place like an AI council, if you will, that's got representation from, it might have representation from product teams and marketing teams, basically different business units and functional units across the organization, including legal, including procurement, particularly when you're thinking about bringing in a third-party model, bringing in an open source model. People need to be involved, but also to look at what the potential use cases might be and prioritize if there's a need to prioritize, the resource use and allocation of some of those central resources. So having that hybrid model where you've got some things distributed, some things coordinated or centralized, and then having a team that connects all of these, the different players so that everything works smoothly. That's what we're often seeing within customers.
Yeah, and just to kind of echo that point more, we're doing the same thing internally. So we do have an AI council that we have developed. It has representation from engineering, from product, from legal, from security, from IT. And we meet regularly and we talk about, what's top of mind for all those organizations, what are the use cases, and really having an inventory of all the things we're trying to do. We're trying to prioritize the investment. So it's a cross-functional team. And I think it's really useful governance to invest in, because there are a million companies that are trying to go, invest in this thing and coming to sell you pocket solutions. And we don't want to do that. We want to really invest in more of a platform solution like Snowflake. And so having that governance in place, it kind of keeps all of us aligned and also allows us to govern this in a very, secured manner.
Absolutely. It also allows you to put in place some financial governance where you're prioritizing, like I mentioned, the computational resources that you've got available. Maybe at some point you need to turn somebody up and somebody down, and you're able to put those types of mechanisms in place and coordinate them effectively across that, like the stakeholders that you mentioned.
Fantastic points. Related to this, how do you think this technology changes the technical roles within a company? Sunny, maybe you can go first.
Yeah, look, I mean, in the traditional IT organization, you have your data engineering organizations, you have your data science team, you have your business intelligence team. I would say that the BI team is going to aspire to be more data scientists. They're going to aspire to be more machine learning and more AI scientists. So, we're, internally trying to make sure that we hire more of the data science and ML, engineers rather than more of the BI folks. We want to make sure that we create a capability internally that is as much self-service as possible, so that if our sales organization wants to, dig into more details about, the insights that they want to drive to get, we have given them tools and capabilities that they can do it themselves. They don't need to come to me to go find them that insights. We're providing data to them. We're providing the tools to them that they can do that on their own. And we really want to up-level the BI function to be more of a data science and AI professionals, where they have the ability to really drive the level of automation and insights to a whole higher degree of capability than what we have seen in the past. And then finally, the application development as well. Traditionally, the IT organizations were living in SaaS-based application development work. And I think what I am going to see, what we're going to see more of is that there's more data-rich applications that need to be built on top of Snowflake, as an example. And so now the application developer has to also kind of graduate to write applications that are more machine learning based applications, or they're going to graduate to write more of LLM based applications that they didn't have the experience in the past to do it, and now they're going to be forced to do that.
Great, fantastic. And Jennifer, any point of view from your side?
No, the other area just to think of is the aspect of thinking about responsible AI and thinking about monitoring outcomes and just having an eye on how the AI. Sunny talked about our assistants that we're all going to have, but just like any other employee, we're going to need to watch kind of how they behave and how they perform, and keep them in line in that way. So this notion of kind of monitoring and keeping an eye on your assistant, your AI, that's something that we all need to keep in mind as a kind of more of a technical role that we're not necessarily technical, but more of a role that we're going to have to think of.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This was a fantastic panel. Thank you so much for participating.